Welcome to the stream, everybody. My name is Jose. I am a Golden in Kendo, and today we're going to be talking about Kendo. These streams are meant to be a way for you to ask any questions, find a little bit more about Kendo. If you're new to Kendo, don't feel bad about asking any simple question, any beginner questions. They're all welcome here. And today, we're going to be watching some videos with the purpose of trying to improve our Kendo, trying to figure out what can we learn, what are some of the things that we can put into our Kendo. And if there's any problems or mistakes that you feel that you're going through, feel free to let me know in the comments so that way we can talk about them and just try to make our Kendo better and Kendo grow all around. Now, sorry I'm starting a little bit late. I got a little bit distracted with one of the comments, one of the conversations in the Discord channel, which, by the way, let me see if I can put the Discord on the chat. Okay, yeah, the link for the Discord channel, it's on the chat. So we have a good community there. If you're looking to travel, if you're looking to find new Kendo people, learn more about Kendo, that's a great place to go. And ask your questions, anything you wanna find out about Kendo. Anyway, so the theme on that comment that was very interesting to me, it's the timing of Fumikomi, which I think it's a recurring question that I hear, that I get, that I ask myself as well. So I guess I can talk a little bit more about that too here, because it's a very interesting topic and it's always needed in my opinion. Anyway, so today I have two videos that I want to share with you guys. Let me just make sure that everything is properly set up. Let me make sure first of all that we have sound, because everything that's something that happened before, but okay. Yeah, everything is good. I feel maybe the volume's a little bit too high. Please let me know on your end if everything is good, and if there's anything I can do better, that'll be awesome. Okay, let's start with the videos that we have prepared for today. Okay. In the past two streams, I've been using this Ippon compilation for Shiai, and I think it's a good example to use, because I like how they do the Ippon compilations. I haven't found that many after COVID. For some reason, I don't know, they're not as popular, I guess, but uh, I think it's a good point to start analyzing the part with the points themselves. Anyways, but I also have this video that is from Bushizo TV. I'll put the link on the on the chat. This one is for a practice, just a regular practice video, and isolating student and teacher in the practice. And I thought it was a very interesting video to watch, because we can learn a lot about how to do our own practice in order not only to improve our Kendo, but in preparation for Shiai, in preparation for Shinsa, and some of the different aspects of how your Kendo, I'm not going to say it's going to be different, but your approach to Jigeiko can be a little bit different than your approach to Shiai or Shinsa. Okay, so let's watch a little bit about it, and then we go back and kind of analyze a few points. Okay, make a quick pause at this point and just watch a little bit about what happened in this exchange, right? So, okay, I guess we started a little bit after the beginning. This is something very common to see, right when the practice starts, right? You're eager to strike, you're eager to make an attack. And this, I think, one of the most common mistakes that we have in Kendo is thinking that we can approach the opponent and immediately attack. The point, especially as you go higher in levels of Kendo, is that you do want to have that forward intention. You want to be the first one to come in, But then at the same time, you also want to learn to communicate with your opponent and understand when there's an opening that you can take advantage of. So for example, here we can see that the person on the left closes the distance, starts closing the distance. And as he's doing that, pretty much without any sign that there is an opening, he commits to a technique. It's a little bit, he goes from a little bit far, even though the shinai, and there's something very interesting about distance too, even though the shinais are crossing at a, oh, at a pretty deep point, right? If you notice, the back foot of the person on the left is kind of spread out already. So what that does, it takes away the reach that he's going to have in order to reach his target. So in reality, I guess he's attacking, if he was in a more like narrow kamae, I guess he would be attacking from kind of here, which is okay to attack from as well. But the trade-off is that, of course, it's going to be harder to reach the target with power and harder to reach it, quicker. So it's easier, I think, for the sensei on the right to deflect his attack. Adding to that the fact that he didn't get an opening, right? He just kind of blindly went, I think. So as he goes in, the sensei immediately wants to take a position of balance. And it's a little bit harder for the person on the left because of the spread that he had. But one good thing that I feel that the guy on the left is doing is that he's using very sharp and very fast footwork to recover his balance. You see, he brings with small steps, back foot, right foot, back foot, right foot, back foot, right foot, all the time in order to make sure that he catches his balance as quick as possible. But if you watch the person on the right, his balance is on point, right? He's always kind of keeping a good posture and immediately tries to go back into having a good distance. And with his presence, with his pressure, push him back into a proper distance so they can re-engage, right? And I think this is something that we take for granted a lot, that after that separation, many people, when they separate back to this distance, maybe this distance. But if you watch here what's happening, they go back away from each other. This is a good practice, because your pressure, your attention to your opponent should start from back here, not from here. Okay, you should already be, I'm not gonna say tense, but you should have engagement already before your shinai touches your opponent. So I think this is great practice. This is a good point from both sides. And as things continue, now you see that Sensei on the right is keeping good posture, and look how he's trying to create an opening. You look at the way that he's using his body, using his forward leg to try to close the distance and give pressure without necessarily committing. Now, as he does that, and I think this is very interesting, when he's closing the distance, you watch, hold on. He's coming in a relaxed way, but he's keeping pressure on the center. His shinai is coming in, keeping in the center, and his opponent is kind of giving pressure and then loses the pressure. You cannot deny the person on the right has such a good understanding of that communication, because he comes in at this moment where like there's like a moment of relaxation, right? Even though he didn't get a big opening like this from his opponent, what he got was a little moment of relaxation, kind of like he lost concentration and he was able to come in, and you see a little bit of a delay between when he steps in for a technique and the moment where his opponent tries to cover. I don't know if that makes any sense. But you see, even though he missed the attack, he didn't have a full opening. He had, I feel, like good understanding on when his opponent is losing that concentration. And that's one of the points that I think it's going to be different between Shinsa, Shiai, and your practice, right? Here, the purpose is to experiment on the communication, to not be holding back, but at the same time, not going in by rushing. And I think that's a very fine line to find during your practice, because what you want to do for your Shinsa or your Shiai is that use that feeling to understand when the right opening is going to be, know where the right opening is going to be, and then take advantage of the opportunities when they're there. But here it's about how to create that opportunity, create that opportunity, create that opportunity. And for that, I feel that you need that forward mentality, not being just waiting and resting and just, stopping at all times. Again, if you watch the person on the right, he has such a good commitment. Um, Even in the one before, in the attacks before, even though when he doesn't get the hit, he has such a good follow through, a good continuity, good sanshin. And if you're preparing for your Shinsa, I think this is a good example, because one thing that you want to make sure that you have down before your Shinsa is that when you miss your attack, your body, everything should look the same as if you're scored. So if you watch here, if you watch the person on the right, he comes in with such a good posture, he hits, and then has good continuation after the strike. This, I think, is a very interesting point, and it shows readiness as well. A good thing to show for your Shinsa as well. When he gets into Kamae, immediately he's ready to attack. And what the first thing he does is step forward and get himself ready. Look at the Kamae, he's ready. The person on the right now, he's closing the distance, trying to go. And as he's doing that, the person on the left, without necessarily having done anything, he's ready. And when he sees the opportunity, he tries to come in for a technique. Um, I mentioned this several times in videos and streams before, but in Kendo, you have the opportunity to strike when you make your opponent make a mistake, or when the opponent by themselves make a mistake. And in this case, I feel that the person on the right was kind of rushing in, not really communicating, not really trying to put pressure, just kind of coming in and attacking, coming in and attacking. And then the person on the left is able to kind of take advantage of the fact that he's just blindly coming in. And although he's not scoring, it's a way to kind of start chipping at the mental state of the opponent, I think. So here we see that the student, I'm gonna call him the student because I think the other person, well, the name is in the video too, Mori Sensei, so I'm guessing that the other guy is the student, right? Um, he's getting a little bit of a correction after getting a hit here. So let's break down a couple of things that are happening here. When he's hitting here, and this is a very common thing to see, especially I think at like high school level, college level, but you see it at all levels here in Japan. Um, but of course, something that you want to try to fix. Let me try to go back to the main window. Sorry, guys. Okay. Let me just lower the camera a little bit, maybe better. Okay, so in order to get a good strike, you want to make sure that the power that's coming from your body transfers into the tip of your shinai. You want to make sure that your arms connect that power and the energy is not lost anywhere in between. And the most common way to lose that energy is when people start breaking the elbow, bending the elbow, and then pulling up, right? Because then your body's going forward, but then your shinai now is coming down. You want the tip of your shinai. Let me try to bring this a little bit to the left here. Okay. You want the tip of your shinai to get a good strike. You want the tip of your shinai to go forward. Okay, it would be kind of nice if you could see the tip. Hold on. Let me go here. Okay. Still a little bit too close. But you want the shinai, the tip of your shinai to go. You want the tip of your shinai. You want the tip of your shinai to go forward rather than down, right? So when you do this, the shinai comes down and it stops moving forward. The energy, the energy for your attack is coming from your legs. So as you're moving your body forward, your shinai is also going forward, and you want to continue that motion with your arms instead of pulling up. Now, that's one thing. And the other thing that you want to make sure is that you're pushing with your back leg in order to move your whole body, not reaching over with the top of your body. Okay, you definitely want to make sure that your arms continue the motion, whether it's a big strike or a small strike, right? You don't want to do this. Instead, you want to keep the shinai, the tip of the shinai, going forward. How that makes sense? And that's a common mistake to see at different levels of kendo, and it's something that you want to keep in mind. You want to avoid ending in this position. Yeah, of course, you can get ippon from this. You can still, win competitions hitting like this, but at the end of the day, your kendo will suffer on the long run. Okay, you want to make sure that you understand that the energy wants to go forward. You don't want to make the energy come down. Now, um, a lot of times this happens because we're trying to overreach or we're trying to make it faster, right? Where a lot of times what you want to start doing is making your technique, what's it called, more efficient, and then also understand timing and distance. That's the things that are going to make you be faster and get a sharper impact, rather than getting in this position. Overall, I think it's good to see good energy from this approach. As you see here, he pushing very nicely with the back leg. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about Fumikomi from the comment that I saw from the Discord server. Um, Ben, welcome to the stream. Thank you for leaving a comment here. By the way, guys, if you take a second, please hit the like button. It really helps the stream get pushed out to more people, so that way we can get more opinions on Kendo here. So let me catch up with this comment. Um, you're not sure what my experience regarding Korea, but in my views, are there any real difference between Kendo and Kundo? So I cannot really speak about Kundo itself, right? Because although I have practiced with people that do Kundo, besides a few superficial differences, I cannot really tell that there's many. Now, the mentality and the approach might be different, and I'm telling you this from opinion of other people, both of them being Korean or Japanese. Okay, so the main comment that I get, it's that the approach to seme, it's different. Um, and again, this is not my opinion. This is opinion of people that I have talked to about and asked the same question. And what they tell me is that their approach to seme, when it comes to kundo, it's more about like, what's it called? Anything you can do to get a reaction, right? Where when you asked about Japanese people, what is their approach to seme? It's about controlling the opponent, right? So I don't know how deep that goes. I don't know if that's true or not. This is something again that it's an opinion that I got from people. But uh, that being said, I guess the focus on Kundo, it's more athletic, where in Japan, I guess, although there is the athletic part and many people treat it as athletic and stuff like that, I guess the point of it is more being about Budo, right? About uh, the do kanji, like the way of doing, and like, the deeper um, understanding and self-development that goes with, not just about a sport. And again, these are not necessarily my opinion. This is how it's coming, but I haven't had the chance to practice in Korea, besides the World Championship, and I haven't practiced that many times with people that do Kendo. So it's people visiting dojos, or I visited a couple dojos, different parts in the world, but again, it's like very, very limited experience. If you have experience on that, yeah, please share it. So let me kind of catch up with what I was talking about, the Fumikomi comment. I think Fumikomi is a very important thing to understand, because Fumikomi, okay, Fumikomi has a very impactful uh, element to it, right? Fumikomi is loud. Fumikomi, we talk about it a lot, but there's a lot of things that are happening to have proper Fumikomi. And I think the focus shouldn't be on the Fumikomi itself, but the purpose of the Fumikomi instead. So what I mean by that is that many people focus on the sound of the Fumikomi, for example, and to be specific about the loudness of the sound. Um, Fumikomi has to have a specific sound when it comes to like the pitch and the tone or whatever, but loudness doesn't matter, because especially depending on the floor that you're using, it can be different. Um, you don't need to make it the loudest to be the best Fumikomi. That's what I'm trying to say. So the purpose of Fumikomi is to help you transfer the energy from your body that you had from your Fumikiri and from your Tenouchi into your opponent, and then have continuity for the purpose of either you need to do another technique, or you need to go through efficiently so that way you're safe after you attack, you don't get hit, right? So the 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 big question, or the big point about it is that, okay, is Fumikomi done at the same time of the impact? So one of the explanation that I've gotten is that Fumikomi is done where the end of the cut should be. So for example, if you focus, according to this explanation, if you focus on hitting the man and like touching the man and then Fumikomi at the same time, you may get a weaker impact. The purpose would be to actually hit the Fumikomi at the time where your sword should have the end of the cut, which it should be about the chin of your opponent's man, right? So that way you allow your body to put the weight into the shinai, and then the Fumikomi helps you continue and go through the opponent. Now, I don't like to think about it this way. I think it's too complicated. But the way I like to think about it is that you want to transfer the weight of your shinai into the weight of your body into your shinai, into the opponent, and you want the Fumikomi to help you continue the motion. So ideally, what you want is definitely to push off with your back leg. And in this video, what screen am I on right now? Okay, can you see here? Yeah. If you see here, the person on the right is hitting the target fully off the ground, right? And although he's not finished with the cut yet, he shouldn't be finished with the cut yet. Um, this allows the weight to come in and to land and to get a sharper strike without having to put that effort that he's doing in here. So hold on, because many things, this is not the best example of a good strike, by the way. So let me, I feel like I'm talking too much about different things, and it's getting a little confusing. So let's start by saying, I mentioned that this guy here, he's cutting the momentum, he's pulling up, making the tip go down, and he's getting a weaker impact in result of that. Okay, no, he's trying to get a stronger impact because he's getting a weaker impact because he's cutting the momentum, right? But I think there's another reason why he might not be getting a proper impact here, is that he's lifting the sword right after touching. And that's what the sensei tells him uh, after. If you watch here, right, like he's trying to tell him, like to hit forward, not to do this, right? I think you can hear it, but I'm guessing that, right? So yeah, we cannot hear it, but anyways, um, if you watch here, like as he's hitting the target, the shinai is going up, right? So although he's trying to hit harder, because the way that his arms are moving and the body's moving is taking power away from the strike. So he's trying to compensate, yet it's kind of working against him. And what you want to do is you want to have the shinai go forward and allow your body to land on the shinai with into your opponent. Okay. Um, this is something that I want to make a video about, but as you can see, like I have many ways of explaining it, so it's not organized. I haven't done that properly. I mentioned about this theme in some of my videos, but I'm trying to just make it better. So if you have a suggestion, a better way of explaining it, please let me know. Um, but as you can see here, he's going up. Now, the landing of the Fumikomi coming after the strike, it's okay, but again, his strike shouldn't be going up as the foot is going down. The strike should continue in, okay? Um, and that should allow him to get a sharper strike. Please let me know in a comment if that makes any sense, if you have any questions about that, because definitely this is something that if you fix it early on, you're gonna have a different looking kendo than most people, I think. And if you have problems with this, it's not such a hard fix as long as you're willing to give up on trying to do it the fastest and the hardest, right? Because it's counterintuitive. Doing it more relaxed, doing it a little bit slower is going to get you more results than trying to overcome the motions with, pulling hard or trying to go as fast as possible. Because you can see here, the person on the right, he can be very athletic and is very good. And I think he has very good training, very good kendo in many aspects. But maybe he's trying to be faster than what his technique allows. Okay, he's trying to be faster with without 100% proper technique. He's a very good technique, right? But he's trying to be faster, so he's reaching. He's trying to get maybe he feels uncomfortable because the sense is taller. I don't know, but just doing something so simple as keeping the arms in the proper position, I think is gonna make it where he's gonna have such a stronger without so much energy impact, if that makes any sense. Because he already knows how to throw his body. He already knows how to have good posture, good fumikomi. And I think just that little change is going to make such a big impact in his kendo. So you see when the sensei is talking about the strike, because listen, you have the same way. What's confusing about this is that what's confusing about explaining this, and it's open to many misunderstanding, is that hitting properly and hitting the way that he hit has many things in common. You do have to pull the shinai, right? But the main difference is, and I'm going to show in a second, is the elbow. The way that the other guy did it, he's breaking and bringing the elbow up, but keeping the elbow under under your hand is going to give you the proper technique. And also not putting the elbow out. You want to keep the elbow in and allow your hand and the way that your body is, the physiognomy of your body, to stop the sore. Sorry, I have very little space here. So you see here and this can look very similar, right? But there's that little detail, especially sometimes maybe with the kendo gi might be hard to see. But if you have this here and you allow your shinai to stop by the own body, you can still bring the tip down. But when you do this, it's a little bit of a different, like your wrist breaks, it's harder. You may even lose your shinai. There's a lot of points there that you want to keep in mind. But Yeah, let me know what you guys think. That's a very common mistake, but something that you want to make sure that you are careful about. Um, so yeah, you see here the way that he's doing it. He's keeping the elbow underneath. He's not breaking the elbow out. Um, Ben, you're saying regarding Shia, on some occasions, okay, sorry. In some occasions, you fought faster people with seemingly endless levels of stamina. Well, you don't have that. What can you use to compensate for that, and how to implement it? So I don't know if you were here when. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this in a second. But okay, I'm done talking about the Shinai. If anybody has any questions about that, please let me know. But actually, that's a very good question, Ben, because um, losing Shiai because physical ability of the other person can suck, right? Because at that moment, there's nothing really that you can do in order to improve that. So if it comes to stamina, uh, yes, somebody that's more athletic will have an advantage on somebody that's not athletic, right? Um, but at certain level, I feel that that physical ability, that excess physical ability, if you can compensate with technique and strategy and all this and experience, all this stuff, it kind of levels out. Of course, the person with a better physical ability will always have advantage in certain things, but it's not that they have a sure win. Let me just put it that way, right? So if you watch the beginning here of this practice, the person on the left is coming in very quickly. As you watch, right? He's coming in very quickly, very strong, very impactful. But the person on the right, which his name is Mori Sensei, so I'm just gonna call him Mori Sensei. So it feels uncomfortable calling Mori Sensei because my sensei is called Mori Sensei, so it's like it's not the same. But anyway, so I'll call him Mori Sensei. Um, So he is being aware, he's being safe in a couple of things. First, on the readiness of his kamae, and two, on the distance and understanding of distance, right? At some point where his opponent is getting closer, he's starting to anticipate, okay, he's coming in. And what he's doing, he's kind of deflecting the sword, but still keeping the center. So that's very important. So when you have somebody that's more athletic and this happens often in testing, right? You have somebody that might go just pa 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 pa, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Main thing is always protect the center. Even though that they're the ones that are constantly coming in, you want to be the first one to approach them. And I'll show a little bit of an example on that in a second. And then the next thing is that you want to also make sure that you have a good understanding of distances and timing. Okay. Um, as somebody keeps attacking and somebody keeps coming in, what ends up happening is that patterns start coming up. So when they're doing this, normally they're doing an approach like you just saw, that the guy just attacks kind of blindly from a far distance. So the timing and the distance and all these things start showing up. So you want to be aware of this thing so that way you can take advantage of it and strike at the right moment. But the main thing you want to understand is that you always have to have ready kamae. And we saw this from Mori Sensei in this case. There's a moment where he's on the, okay, like, okay, I think it was, 1 second, hold on. Yeah, it was like around here. Maybe a little bit before. Ah, no, yeah, it was definitely much before. Okay, here. So here you see his opponent is kind of not giving a break. Okay, so he goes in for an attack. He immediately gets ready, right? Like he gets back into command, gets ready here, and you can see that Mori Sensei on the left, he's ready, he's getting ready, and at the same time he's closing the distance. What this does is that if that person is already in a rush, is accelerated, now they're more in a rush. So he's ready, and although person on the right is the one closing the distance further, person Mori Sensei on the left, he's being more relaxed, and when he sees an opportunity, he goes for it, right? So let me know if that answered your question, so I can go deeper if it didn't. But the main thing is that you want to make sure that you are ready and start learning what to do in order to figure out what the timing would be, because as a person keeps attacking, keeps attacking, keeps attacking, the it gives away when they're gonna go, how they're gonna go, what is their favorite technique, and all this stuff. So you can start anticipating what's going to happen. But as you saw Mari Sensei do, he has to be the first one coming in. He comes in, he gives a little bit of that pressure without committing yet. This is something that I'm going to talk. By the way, guys, after this stream I do a members only stream where I share a lot of my personal practices, my practices here in Japan, and some of the things that I'm working on, and go over like videos that you send me and all this stuff. So I'll talk more about that in that stream. But one thing that was mentioned to me this week is that you don't want to move in and attack. You want to move in, read the opponent, and attack, especially when you're talking about Rokudan and above, right? Um, for preparation for testing all the way to Godan, um, semi and attacking, it's okay. But then after that, you really have to start showing up your Tame as well. So that's part of the Tame part. Um, but yeah, let me know if that makes any sense. So so you saying it does help? Kameyama on the other Kendoka second. Oh, Kameyama. Let me see. I'm not that good with kanji. I think I saw Yama on on this. I don't know the first kanji, to be honest. I believe you says if you says Kameyama, um, but it's a student, I think. So yeah. Ben, you're thinking about taking Rokudan on 20, not thinking, you're eligible for Rokudan on 2027. I am eligible 2026 next year. So yeah, okay. So we're in the same path, and I'm lucky. I'm very lucky because the dojo where I'm practicing in right now, um, I think they're very proud of their level of success rate, I guess, on Shinza. Um, because on a weekly basis, I guess I practice with like 5 or 6 hachidan, because there's so many that have passed in this dojo. And although when I was preparing for Shiai, they really gave me that focus on Shiai, they always gave me that about, okay, it's not about just the point, what to do to improve your kendo. And the main things that they have been drilling, not only to me, but the other people that are coming here for advice, distance and timing. And I think all of those work, especially when you have that athletic difference, right? Because senseis are not as athletic as some of the students that come in, right? Because of the age gap and a lot of the differences in their body styles and all these things. But um, having that understanding, I feel that, at least for me, is totally changing my kendo. And if you're looking to improve your chances of, uh, passing your test, you have to show that you have an understanding of good distance and good timing. It's so important. I think it's so important to do so. Um, Shen, welcome to the stream, and Fernando, welcome. Thank you very much, guys, for passing by. Please, if you haven't, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. It really helps. Um, I think that my main focus this past year has been, preparing for Rokudan. Especially after the World Championship, I injured my knees, so it was definitely hard to focus more on the Shiai part or like the athletic part. Although I have participated, I think it was like 1 or 2 Shiais after that. Yeah, I participated like two or three Shiais after the World Championship. Um, my main focus has been fixing my kendo and fixing and learning the things that I feel that are needed for Rokudan. Um, and communication, distance, all these things are very, very important. And that's why I said, for example, here, wait, am I showing the right screen in the, yeah, I am, okay. So if you watch after the first, I think after the first attack, if you watch here, so you see the separation goes back to this distance. You want to make sure that the distance allows you to start working on your pressure from that distance. For my experience lately at the dojo, I've been thinking a lot about this, but you can tell when somebody is ready at this distance and when they're not. And a lot of times, from the perspective, from front, like looking at the sensei, maybe you feel that you're ready and they feel like they're relaxed, but when you come in, they hit you, right? So those are the little subtle things that I think they're very important to understand how to show and represent. But yeah, so much. If you have any questions, any specific points that you wanna talk about, yeah, let's talk about it, because this is very interesting and I think it's very, very important, because all of these things can be learned from early on in Kendo, and of course at a different level, in a different way. But at least understanding what these points are, I think it's important for people to start listening about it, to start thinking about that, because it's really important to have them consciously in mind in order to work them. And I think that's one of the reasons why we struggle so much as Westerners to pass a lot of times from Godan and above, is because a lot of these concepts, we don't hear them at the dojo every day. I do, not necessarily to me, but I hear how, Hachidan is teaching Nanadan, Hachidan is teaching Rokudan, Hachidan is teaching Godan, and Yondan. And I can see how, oh, okay, the Hachidan gave the 7 Dan an advice. And he kind of gave the same advice to the Rokudan, but in a different way. And then kind of the same thing. So it all kind of, links together. And that's such an interesting point to see. And I hope that we can talk more about it, and we can like discuss it, because I think it's a very important aspect in order for us to grow our kendo. Anyways, let's see if we see a good strike from either of them, so we can talk about the proper fumikomi before I finish this stream. Okay, I think maybe they did this. Okay, hold on 1 second here. Guys, in your dojo, I think this is if you can make this type of exchange happen, I think it's good for both people's growth of Kendo. And Ben, especially because you're talking about Shinza, I think this is also a very important point to represent for Shinza, because it shows your engagement. So, okay, I'm gonna get sidetracked if I start talking about that, but it shows your engagement. When there's a missed attack, right, that they end up in Subaseriai. Here, they come in, they end up in Subaseriai. So, Mori Sensei on the right, he is kind of, checking the distance, but immediately getting into a position where he's straight, trying to make sure that he's ready to go for a technique. So you see how he handled his body to be ready for a technique. The person on the left, he's also doing the same thing. Look how straight his body is. Although they have a good contact with their hands, they're trying to keep their body straight, being ready. Look at the footwork from both of them. They both have different style of footwork. They both have a different way of moving, but they're both trying to be ready at all times to do a hikiwasa if they need to. Okay? Now to separate, they should separate sharply. You see, like there's the tension. There's tension there. There's not necessarily a hikiwasa, right? So especially maybe for Shinsa. You don't want to throw a Hikiwasa at this point, but you want to make sure that you show you're ready. Things are ready. This, I think, is how this moment should look. A lot of times for us, it looks a lot like we end up pushing, leaning our body forward, or maybe we're trying to separate so we lean back. No, you want to have good posture, always be ready, and go back sharply. You don't want to stay there. You don't want to be pushing in. You don't want to have an awkward stance. You want to have your feet ready to go at all times. Look at, this is something that I'm kind of focusing on right now, but look how Mori Sensei on the right, he approaches the distance with the footwork. Look how smooth and small he's doing the footwork, right? And another point that you want to work on, I feel that if you want to improve your kendo, is not care about being hit. What I mean about not care about being hit is like a lot of times when somebody comes to get us, when somebody comes to hit us, even though it might not be a point, it might be a point, but we were not distracted, our first reaction is to kind of like just go like this, and that makes us look disorganized, it makes us lose our focus, and it just makes us look bad. If you watch Morrison on the right, after he closes the distance, oh wait, sorry, the one before. He closes the distance, student on the left, he comes in and he attacks, but he's not getting on his way, right? He's not overreacting. He's not moving out. He's still relaxed. He's still attentive. And immediately after he checks the Subaseri, he's still keeping attention on him. He's relaxed. He's letting him, okay, the engage, it's over. That what you did is over. Let's reset. He's getting prepared. And even at this moment, he's showing that attention. The attacker is coming in to hit him on the head. So he moves out. He moves out of the way, but still very relaxed, keeping in mind that he's going forward. So when you do this type of approach, it looks better to the judges rather than, being tense, moving around and just like pushing things away. It just kind of looks sloppy. Okay. I like this exchange a lot. So you see, the student on the right now, he in this moment, he's trying to give pressure, and maybe he's trying to copy the way that we saw earlier, right? That the sensei brought the foot closer, but I think this is the difference between pressure or seme and feinting, right? Here, although he's closing the distance, his mindset, his focus is not to go forward, is to kind of like do something to get a reaction, but immediately the first instinct is to go back, right? So this is different than what we're trying to aim for on seme. So a lot of times I get that question, that comment about, oh, okay, what's different between seme and feinting, right? Like, can I not feint and have the same result? You can feint for shy purpose, let's say, right? But for Shinsa and for your regular practice, I really think there's no need unless you're practicing something specific with this. But if you want to really improve your pressure, your mentality should always be about going forward, not about going back. Guys, not that I do it all the time, not that I'm perfect, not that I don't do this, but I'm just saying this is the mistake that is being pointed out to me and something that I noticed for myself too. So you want to keep in mind that if you're fainting, okay, it's cool that you're fainting, is fine, but if you're trying to improve your communication, improve your seme, you want to not treat it as a feint, but instead of constant pressure against the opponent. So you see, he closed the distance very nicely. He comes in. Now this looks more like pressure. You see, it looks different, right? He's coming in. At this point, he could go back, but he's not going back, right? If something happened that doesn't allow him to go back, uh, he can come forward. Anyways, he's ready for a mistake. Now, I do think though that now at this point he didn't get an answer, a favorable answer, like an answer, an opening. So at this point, I feel like now he's overcommitted, right? When I see this exchange, what Sensei says is, okay, there is seme, but there's no tame, right? Let's see what happens here. He comes in and he's not able to get a clean entry or like to get a good hit. But again, it looked good, right? It looked good. This is the things that judges are going to look at and say like, oh, okay, he's understanding this. He's understanding the communication. He's understanding what's happening. That one looked good. Well, so much that it made me go back, right? And if you look at it in real time, it almost looks like he got the point, that he got a good contact. And I think if you want to, I think this exchange is worth breaking down and worth studying if you're focusing on preparing for Shinza. Because I think it shows a lot of the things that are happening here. And although there's a moment there where he is already fully committed to going in, you see, at this point, he's already committed. He's going in for a technique. Maybe he didn't have enough time and the sensei is replying, but still he understood the communication and he understood a good timing to go. And another thing that he did kind of to help him kind of get a little bit more of an opening, because he wasn't tense with his hands, he took the center, pushing the shinai off, kind of holding the shinai down as he's coming in, and then coming in for that strike. If it would have had a little bit of tame, maybe the exchange could have been different. Maybe that was good enough. Maybe that's the best this exchange was going to be given the level of the opponent. But I think everything here, it shows a good understanding from both parties of pressure, distance, and a commitment to a technique. It looks good after the strike. It looks, good sanshin, good attention. This exchange, I think it looked great. Obviously, depending on the level of the shinsa that you're going for, but for a lot of different shinsas, this exchange, I think, looks very solid, and it's gonna make the judges look and say, okay, something good is happening here. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is a very good example to break down, but let me know your thoughts on how you approach your practices, especially preparing for Shinza, and what are some of the things that you keep in mind for that. Um, we started this talking about Fumikomi, so before I catch up with some of the comments, guys, don't worry, I'll read them all, okay? You watch here, you see here, maybe his hand still doing that breaking here and still taking away from the strike. But again, this is a very common thing. It happens to, I think, to all levels. I've seen even hachidans do this. It's just a common mistake that happens out of the heat of the moment as well, and because adjusting to distance. So it's not such a big problem that is going to uh you know hurt you if it comes out. But if you're constantly doing it like this, then there's a problem. You have to make sure that you fix it. And you watch Sensei on the left. I think he has a um good approach to it. So if you see, look at the difference, right? He's hitting, the shinai is bouncing, but the hands are coming forward. You see the person on the right, he's lifting the hands, where uh Mori Sensei on the left, he's hitting and the shinai is bouncing, but he's still keeping them forward, keeping that pressure forward. And the Fumikomi lands, a little bit, a split second after the shinai touched the man. So it's literally the next frame. So the shinai bounces, but he hit with his body, and the fumikomi is helping him keep the motion forward. Right? The power of the strike doesn't come from the fumikomi, it comes from your body and the energy that was produced from the left foot. And the fumikomi helps him continue that momentum, continue that energy, and have good zanshin after, so he can do another technique or be prepared for whatever happened after. So yeah, let's catch up with some of these comments. Fernando, you said that yeah, it's true. In the dojo, they told us to go away from the pressure to gain more experience. To go away from the pressure. What do you mean to go away from the pressure? Uh, to go away from the pressure. So you mean that, like to like go into it? Sorry, I'm a little thrown off, and I know typing here in YouTube is a little bit constricted. So sorry, can you express clarify a little bit? That would be awesome. Uh, Shen, you're saying that it looks like Kiryotoshi. I think you just love Kiryotoshi, right? If I remember correctly, you love this technique. I don't think so because, and I'm gonna say why. He doesn't come in from the center, right? Like he kind of comes in from the side and comes in. I don't think he touched his shinai to get him out of the way. He comes from the side and took the center, and mostly I think it's because again, the person on the right, he's doing this thing, so he naturally kind of throws the shinai off center. And although his opponent kind of wanted to move the tip, and this is very crucial. If you watch, am I on the right camera, by the way? Let me just make sure that I'm on the right place. Okay. Uh, if you watch person on the right, he's pushing the shinai down, but he's not pushing it down by staying in center. So this is the person on the right? Like he doesn't push down by staying in center, but instead he pushes down by going to the side. So if you watch Mori Sensei's hand, they stay in the center. So when the shinai is coming in here, he's coming straight up. The tip is coming from the side, but the shinai is still in the center. Now, because of this motion and the way that he's hitting the shinai, maybe that caused them to kind of get a little bit of center, and that's why the shinai went out to the side. And of course, I think at this point when he hit, like you see, he hits him first, then the shinai gets deflected, right? Um, it's a little bit tricky, and it for me I will say it's more like they got shit on, man. And the person on the right, let's say that he's testing for Yonan, right? If the person on the right does this, I don't think he's done with his test. I don't think he passed already, but he definitely got major good points. If he's going for Goldan, same thing. It's like he hasn't passed yet, but it's like, okay, the judges are saying, okay, he's understanding something. No question, the person on the left, it passed, right? Why? Because look what's happening. So person on the right is giving pressure, and person and sense Mori Sensei on the left, he's not attacking just because of the pressure. He's counter pressuring. You see, he's giving pressure. And that little hole, that's his tame and that's his seme. And as he noticed when he overcommit, because at this point, it's like he has no turning back. Person on the right doesn't have a turning back at this point. So at this point, he just lets go of that pressure and goes for that man. That's why he looks that much faster. He looks like he caught up to him, but instead he gave pressure before he attacked. So that way he was ready to go at the moment that he needed to go. Guys, I think there's a lot to unpack on this video, so I'm happy to have done this breakdown. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Um, if you're really working on improving your communication, improving your kendo, and you're preparing for Shinsei, I think this is a good example to break down from both sides. Of course, I'm focusing more on the student side and the things that he did, but the person on the left, the sensei on the left, but the sensei on the left, he's doing a lot of higher level stuff that also you want to try to study and try to take for yourself. When you look at how he's moving his body, if you look at Mori sensei on the left, when he's moving around, he's using short steps. Like, watch him. Okay, when he's moving around, he's using short steps, and immediately after a step, he's ready. The next movement after being ready is pressure, right? It's getting the opponent to do something. So he's starting the opponent. When he sees the opponent is coming in, he's not rushing with an attack. He's responding with pressure, getting himself ready to do a technique, to attack. And a quick little thing that reminds me of a tip that I got from a sensei recently is that you never want to attack just from kamae, just for no reason, right? You always want to have a little bit of that forward intention and set your body right, prime it to go. And that's what's happening here at this point. He's not rushing in. He sets up his kamae, right? Like he comes in to set up his kamae. He sets up here when the opponent is trying to close the distance. Instead of rushing in and attacking from that moment, what he does is that he applies that pressure, but at the same time, he's priming his body to go forward, and then he just lets go of that hold and gets the technique. Good sanshin, good attention, everything came out looking so nicely that I think it's such a good example to study from both sides. Hope you enjoy this. Fernando, at the moment the shinais are going to cross, the pressure is at the peak. So if at that moment the senses are telling us not to flee away, so at that moment the senses are telling you not to flee away. So just to break that down a little bit more, at the moment shinais are going to cross, the pressure is at the peak. So um, the way that I've been explained that mostly is that, of course, here you want to have tension. Here, you're priming yourself to attack. So from here to here, at any time, the moment to attack could come, right? You don't want to rush in from here because at this point, it's going to be really hard to get an ippon. But instead, as you're approaching and looking the distance, you want to figure out when the right moment is to attack as the opponent is coming in. Hope that makes sense. Guys, I really enjoyed doing this breakdown. I think I went a little bit over time. Just give me 1 second. Uh, I I think that a lot of the studies that we're all doing, depending on the level that we all trying to study the same thing. And there's a lot of things that are happening that you might think, oh, okay, this is higher level stuff, but you can always find a point for yourself at your level to study to improve it. But anyways, I want to share down here the link for the next stream. So it's in the chat. I'm doing a members only stream to share a little bit of the behind the scenes and the little specific advices that I'm getting at the dojo. If you would like to join that, support the channel, please check out the perks. There's a couple of extra perks for everybody to get. Also, you know, some benefits you get from being a member of the channel, but the support always helps the channel grow and helps me bring more stuff. It's a little bit difficult to record at the dojo here, so I'm planning to doing things outside of the dojo, getting people like doing interviews and stuff like that. So yeah, especially for translators and stuff like that will help a lot. And if you also want to support the channel, check out the merch. I put in a couple of new things in the store. I have a ramen shirt, so please check it out. Let me know your thoughts. But anyways, also remember we have the Discord server. If you would like to become a member of the Discord server, it's totally free. I'm gonna put the link again in the chat. We have a great community there. We always talk about Kendo. If you want to travel somewhere, you want to meet some new Kendo people, yeah, feel free to check out Discord servers, completely free. And it's a good way to reach me if you want to send me a video, if you want me to talk about, or anything you want to share. It's a good place to do so. Okay. Anyways, thank you very much, guys. I hope to catch you guys next week. I'm doing this once weekly now, so please make sure to tune in. And let me know if there's a better time to do it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good week and get some good Kendo training. Take care. See you in the next one.